Here is a look at your gap and go trades for the week of March 16th through the 20th. I will go over price targets on the 5-minute time frame, have a gap recap from March 9th through the 13th, and update the chart as well. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is NEO. We ended the week at $5.86, up 5.59%. To the north side from where we are takes us to one level of resistance and a potential take profit area at 602, above that 612, and at 4 standard deviations this would take us to $6.21 to an area we've been to before in the past, and that was in 2024, this yellow line. Now to the south side takes us to the baseline, the middle of the trend, one level of resistance, an area that we can just grind sideways, and that is roughly $5.84. To the south side of that takes us to -2 standard deviations, where this gap begins roughly at 567. Below that, 557. Let me move this out of the way. This gap begins at roughly 554, and it closes out at 551. And at -4 standard deviations and another potential buy-in area as well as a potential stop loss area, that would be 547. Now looking left, we opened up at 478 previously, and now we're at 586. That is a return of 22.23%. Congratulations if you've made some money off of this ticker. I need to get the magnet off so I can move this. That's actually 22.55%. Oh no, wait, this is a higher level here. So we are talking actually 23.68% roughly. This gap to the south side is still in play whenever we should reverse course, 459. We ran up here because of earnings. The company brought in $4.95 billion, only expected to bring in $4.77 billion. And this gap needs to be cleaned up. Remember, I just extend these gaps. I have no idea when they're going to touch, and it did right here. Oops, right, it touched there. And that took us to 551. So that is no longer in play. It started at 533. Let me make sure I delete all of the price labels. 551. There we go. You can see I've tracked this for a very long time, many years. And you can see we're at resistance up here, grinding down, hitting support, a line I drew and bounced off of that. On the way down, the lines turn into support. On the way up, it is resistance. So from down here on the way up, this line turned into resistance, and then just grinding along this area, and then went sideways and then back down again. And it touched right on a gap. The next one I want to go over is Boeing. Option R, oops. Now ignore all the horizontal lines. Those are lines I've already marked out, and as you can see, we are still in a downward channel on the 5, moving farther away from these areas that we've been to. We ended the day at 209.88, up 2.51%. We are basically at resistance. This RSI, let me move this out of the way so you can see it, is already crumbling. That's resistance up here, support down here. That's all I use it for. I don't make things complicated. The lines look complicated, but they're not. I just haven't erased them, deleted them. Resistance, 3 standard deviations, a take profit area, a sell limit area. 213.86 if you want to push the boundaries farther away from 2 standard deviations. At 4, that's 217.17. That's down the road. And The middle of the trend is now this line at 203.84. This is support. We could bounce off of that, or we can grind sideways. I will delete this line since it is very close to a line I've already drawn. It looks like I drew that for the week of Monday, December 15th. Delete. When they're close together, I start erasing things, but I'm not going to go through and delete them now because it's a waste of my time. All right, so I deleted that, and then we have some gaps to fill. That one will take us to roughly $200.85. And let me just mark this in red to denote a gap to the south side. And then that will close at roughly $200.81. And then, oh, this I'll clean. Well, while I'm here, I just might as well clean it up. This gap touched. So that is done. Again, I have no idea when it's going to finish out until I go through and clean up my chart. That closed on Thursday, March the 12th. So congrats if you went short and made some money, and that also closed down to 208.73. This is support, grinding sideways up to resistance again. Now to the south side, let's do -2 SD 197.24, 193.97, and 190.58. Looking left, the previous week we were up here and then we melted to 209.88, even went down more than that, down to about 204.33. Oh, we have this gap still in play that opened up for us because we gapped down, we close it to the on the way up. This is a support line and it bounced. Oops. Okay, and then this is your clear buy signal, but we just went sideways. This is resistance, selling off, trying to make another leg up, and we're right here at resistance. Oh, and this needs to be addressed. Oh, I marked this and now I can delete it. 208.67 to the south side. And then this as well, $200 roughly to 206.46. Congrats if you went short. And now I'm looking at this area. And what's below it? Ooh, we've got a few more. Let's extend this. And then we have a small gap. It's tiny, but they still do fill many times. Option R to reset. We could definitely touch and close this gap on Monday. I will anticipate that. And then by the end of the week, if we don't turn around the outer band, let me make sure I mark. Wait a second. All right, Friday. Right here. So by the end of the week, the outer band could take us to 167.13, and then we end at 193.66, or we hit that area. But I'm sure there will be a reversal since we've been going down. Next up is Nike, option R. This one doesn't look too messy. It's still messy, but we are here. Resistance, take profit, 54.13. 54.45 and roughly 54.79. The middle of the trend and the baseline is 53.47, 52.80, 52.49, and another level of support and a potential buy-in area, 52.12. So last week we were here and now we are at 53.98. What happened? We went sideways, hit resistance, resistance, fell back down to support. This is resistance going down. Remember, everything slices through the middle of that trend. We bounced up, that's support, that's a sell signal. This is a clear sell signal, multiple signals. And then we touched here with the wick, just grinding downwards. Now, what about any other gaps? So this one touched right here on Friday the 6th, taking us down to 57.39. Let's delete that and that. The gap started at, well, on December 23rd, Tuesday. And I think, oh, wait a minute. This one needs to be cleaned up as well. That took us down to 60. Wait a minute, that's the other gap. I grabbed the wrong thing. Let me move this. Okay, and then this gap touched on Monday, right out of the gate. Took us down to 61.17. And so we have a few gaps to look forward to the upside eventually. I think that is it for now. Wow, that wick is amazing here. All right, we touched this one, closed out. We touched this one, basically went past it and then bounced. And then here we are bouncing off these lines as support. All right. Almost forgot this one. That will take us to 57.96. Tsly, option R. Mark out some things while I'm doing this with you because I erased this for a thumbnail to clean up the chart. We ended the week at 31.45, down 0.69%. To the north side takes us to resistance, 31.76. Above that, 32.52, 32.91. Don't hold your breath for Monday, but perhaps down the road, 33.30. And then we have this gap that will take us to 33.58. To the south side, because there's always a south side, all of these gaps close. Oh wait, did that? No, it did not close just yet. It looked like it. We just tickled this upper portion. Okay, we closed out, well, we will close this at 31.22 roughly, 31.17 and 31.12. 22. And check this out. This past week, we started here, went all the way down to support. That was one buy signal. On the way up, that's resistance, fell down, resistance, fell down, made another leg up, resistance, fell down, grinding along this middle of the trend. And we should close this out Monday, Tuesday if we keep going south, which we are on a 5-minute on the 5-minute time frame going downward. So that would be nice for us to turn around. I'm considering buying a small Tesla because I am having car problems and I really wanted the Apple car, and now I am going to go with the Tesla, if I can spit it out, and I have to make a decision soon. Okay, 1485 is where we ended for Rivn. To the north side takes us to 1514, 1532, 1548. Ignore the white line, that's a previous price target from the analysts, but we could chop sideways here, or if we fall down, this will act as resistance. 1451, 1435, 1419. I have Formula One in the background, and I see Hamilton on the podium doing an interview. Finally, nice turnaround for him. It's nice to see. Love it. So we have a touch point here. This is done at 1588. And look at that. Resistance is this line. Radar should go off that something's going to happen. We almost touched this line and then fell. And then resistance off this line I drew. So last week, you had an opportunity from here, roughly, to up here. And that was a 14% return, and then the drop. Okay. 1403 to the south side there, eventually. And then we have many gaps to fill to the downside. One gap at a time. And what else? I think that's it. By the end of the week, if we keep going south, oh my goodness, the middle of the trend could take us to 1168. Ooh. But we've got to close all these before real price action, I think, can take over and go up. That does it for me. That is a look at NIO, Baba, Nike, Tsly, and Rivn. I'm going to do a video soon on Oracle, Mara, and a couple of other ones. Have a great trading week.